Hello, good evening.
Hello.
I hope I didn't just burst someone's ears.
Am
Oh,
I allowed? Hello, everybody. How is everyone?
that was just checking you can hear me and him, because a moment ago that didn't happen.
Yeah, we almost had a stream with no sound.
I could hear you repeatedly.
And I could
It was
hear you.
hilarious.
But
Yeah, and just as I was starting, I was like, start stream. Why is it not responding? This is odd. And Google was like, you need to verify you're who you said you were.
shiny. Hi, Jelly. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the 2-week mark. And we've got lots and lots of things going on. Mikey, how are you today?
I'm good. I'm tired. I've done loads and loads of stuff today, and it feels like I haven't done anything at the same time. It's one of those days.
Just before the stream started, I managed to lean forward on my toe, and I have gout, and the crystal cracked, and ow! So I might be a bit bleary for the couple of minutes.
That's okay. Your Tarzan impression was much, much better when it was real.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Yes, ow, indeed. I honestly thought you'd been attacked by a cat or something along those lines instead.
He did. So we have some cool new stuff to show, and I'm going to, at the end of the stream, I've already uploaded the exports. I'll push them live on our itch page and link them to people so people can play them. But Mikey, would you like to show us what we have to show?
Oh, the new level and everything.
The sense of theatricality.
I just need to be clear. Right.
Well, there's also the new environment on the existing level.
Yes, of course. I'm firing up God. Oh, what do you think to the new little setup? It's bound to go completely wrong at some point.
Does the cat like it?
So I do this to share my screen.
Hello, Capoodle.
I turn up my voice so people can hear me, and then I do this so Yann can see me and what I'm broadcasting. Can you confirm that you can see my screen, Yann?
I can see your screen.
Excellent. And it's live for Yann because obviously there's a delay. So I think I finally worked all of that out. So yeah, we've I'm not going to say we in this case. This is definitely Yann having a lot of fun making the new levels. So we've got
we have a level selection.
We've got Oasis, which is a desert, and we have New Andromeda City. Should we start with the new one? No, let's
start with the one. Oh, you want to see the okay? Let's start with the old one.
I'll start with the old one because the visual changes are actually quite deep. So let's pick a craft. I'm still going to pick this craft. Since it's nice and light, I'll go for a dark craft. So let's go ahead and begin a race. I might actually turn the volume of the audio down, of the game audio. I have got it turned down, so I can turn that up slightly. Always worries me with this, it goes black on OBS. Yep. But the game is being captured.
This is mainly a change in the HDRI, which is the sky. For those of you who aren't familiar, we have a huge wraparound sky texture. And I went and found a desert one, so the lighting is much better. And then changed how much of that affects the level lighting. Result is, it actually feels a lot more like a desert.
Oh, I think my mind's destroyed someone. Nice.
Monster.
So yeah, the whole level, I'm starting to look at the sky now. So yeah, the sky has got a much... Oh, the view distance isn't full yet. Let's have a look at the graphics options here. I need view distance extreme.
Of course you do.
Always. Whoa! So how many of you guys have tried out the game yet? And how many of you have managed to not hit a wall?
I mean, even I hit walls, so...
Oh, you've changed the shield.
Yeah, I had to.
That looks gorgeous.
That's actually the... Well, so refraction won't work with the Z buffer bug that we were trying to fix earlier.
Yes.
So we had a bug where if you had a shield on, or worse, the shield recharging, you couldn't see the edge walls, which is a problem when you're going 400 kilometers an hour and there's a corner coming.
Oh, that was lucky. That
was
very
lucky. The
lucky.
speed you fall when there's no track there. So when there's a track there, gravity is normal. When you can't detect your track, you're actually falling twice as fast, so you get back into the action much faster. So this is Oasis in its current iteration. Mikey, would you like to show off New Andromeda City? This is a work in progress, but it's pretty solid.
Yeah, I'm liking the whole feel of it. Gonna change team. Oh, I'm gonna change ship as well. I'm going to be the organic. And I'm gonna be a purple.
I was gonna say pick something really shiny.
Oh yeah, that's better. Which one's a really, really shiny one?
Immediate or Archangel?
Yeah, okay.
So I wanted to see what happens if we make this a very, very different feel, like a very different environment.
So I'm picking my non-favorite craft here because it's got a large, flat, mirrored surface on it. So this is a completely different feel. We had lots of fun trying to get the environment texture sorted as well.
This camera, oh, here we go. The in-game camera has also been tweaked. So welcome to New Andromeda. Can't really see the level from here, Mikey.
There we go. How's that?
There we go.
Whoa! Lucky boy, yeah. So yeah, completely different feeling level. It's amazing how this one with its long sweeping tracks feels so much different, and the lighting and everything as well.
The lighting is a huge part of this. We did struggle with, so this isn't fully lit yet. There's parts of the track that are very dark. Some by design, some not.
That was deliberate, by the way. Definitely deliberate.
But we wanted to make this feel a lot more like a colder space level.
Yeah.
Let's go visit areas.
This definitely has an air of second gen about it.
The level design, from a sort of theoretical point of view, is a lot better.
Yes. There's more enclosed areas. There's your big sweeping exterior areas. This part here, we're thinking about putting a park or something like that on it.
Yeah, we had some problems with the park.
Yeah. I'll talk about those in a minute. So that is the level.
Coming up, a reveal or an explosion. There we go. So we have this big reveal, and from here we're going into a very tight and closed space, into a gentle sweeping space. There's a lot of like vignettes, little moments that we're trying to design around.
That was really, really quick.
It was.
More boost.
I'm very proud of this little Rose studio up here.
Oh, I've not seen that. You've done this since I last played it.
No, I haven't. You tried to get all the boosts so you didn't spot it.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Which is a good sign, right? Like you're actually playing the game as opposed to watching every nuance of the level.
Oh, the other thing is now you can watch the dragon's breath fly around the level.
Yep.
He says, and then not able to watch it. Yeah. Yeah, so this is a new thing. We tried to do it in the last level, but it would require redesign anyway. This spiral around a building.
Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of tweaking to get like just enough steepness so it doesn't become too frustrating.
Oh yes, because it's very easy to bottom out these craft.
Yep. As many of you will know.
As I just did.
So this is New Andromeda so far, and here's our offices. You can pull up here. So there you go.
Just liquidized your insides by doing that.
Yep.
Right, I'll pull that off. Now I have to switch that back so Yann can see, and I will go back to here. Yeah, it's working. I'm slowly getting the hang of that. I was practicing all afternoon. I was so proud of myself.
Yeah, the sky. It took a few attempts to get this right. We originally went to NASA and found a JPEG of a star map, and it just didn't work. It looked weirdly too artificial. Because it turns out if you're outside of an atmosphere and you look at stars, they're just points. They're all very bright and they don't change brightness, and they're very bright. I mean, they change brightness a little bit, but it looks too bright. So we went and found an HDRI render of the Horsehead Nebula and put that in instead.
And I played with an Earth in there as well.
I did play with an Earth. Mikey, would you like to talk about our park?
Our park. Yes, so this will be a little bit of a lesson for everyone. Let's sit down, kids. Let me tell you a story. Let me go and load it up first. And
I used to see comfortably. Then I'll begin. There's one for the two of us who were born in the 70s.
So the park is a very interesting one, and I kind of knew this before I started, but I just started slapping some stuff together and making sure it's all low poly. I'll turn off the reveal, and then I'll share my screen. Outline, statistics, there we go. So, if I press this button, hey. So, in front of us here, we have a very low poly part. It's all a park, it's all procedural. And, yeah, everything just put it together real quick, going, okay, we want a park area, and this is like 100 square meters, so it's a square kilometer of park, quite a large environment. It turns out it's tiny in our game, so that was the first issue.
Well, so to put that in perspective, there's two things you have to realize. One, those large buildings are 100 meters squared in their floor plan. Two, we are traveling without boost at just under 400 kilometers per hour.
Yes,
which means in an hour,
very quick,
you will go past a lot of these parks.
Yes.
Can't do that much. 40? 400? It's around there somewhere.
So, yeah, I'm busy modelling around in this. Let's just make it a larger viewport for the moment. So, busy modelling around, and all of a sudden, I export it into Godot. It's running absolutely fine, so I instance a couple more of them. And as you can see here, even though each one of these objects is very low poly, when you stick a lot of low poly objects together, you get 2.5 million triangles. So yeah, the next thing I did was significantly less. I grabbed some trees and just
before you go any further, can I point out, because you showed me a lit render of this, which looked beautiful. My initial response was, if our game was set in a park, this would be fantastic. But if I'm going past this at 400 kilometers an hour, I really don't want the players to stop and look at the park.
Oh, look, there's Jim and Jean having a picnic. So I went completely the other way, grabbed a plane, slapped a particle system on it, and that's great capitalization. Does anybody else have that issue with Blender where caps lock seems to be on when you're using it? I'm going to correct that now before.
I mean, it's next to tab, so yeah.
Quite possibly I hit it. So as you can see here, there's nothing to see. Excellent. So where are the billboards? They are enabled. Oh, that's interesting. There's no particle system. I must have destroyed the particle system. It'll only take a few seconds to pop it back in, because you can set up your render to use a collection. And if you set it to use a collection... Oh, look at that. Even my trees is misspelt. But anyway.
I hope you people know what's going on. Because...
Boop. Trees. Boop. Anyway, so that's probably too large. Let's go for 2. So you end up with a load of billboards with trees on, and yes, we need to adjust. Let's just pretend the plane isn't there. But you end up with a series of trees all billboarded together, and you can randomize them. And this obviously ends up at a lot lower polygon count in total. Even with, this is 1,000 trees, that's probably too many. 250. And if we went into the collection here, and just went into edit mode and lifted them all up slightly. So that their origins... I must have lost a file, you know, looking at this. But anyway, if I move their origins all up slightly, or move the mesh down, there we go. So all the trees are now sat on the surface. And that actually worked pretty well in the game, but then I discovered another issue, because this is a lot of transparency. So eventually you run out of transparency layers, I suppose, one of the best ways to call it. You just can't have an infinite number of them. This number in Blender seems to be okay, but in Godot, not so much.
Well, especially as you're moving again at high speed, so these calculations have to happen a lot.
Yes, definitely. I never showed you what I was doing, but there you
I'm
go.
looking at the 30
cool.
second behind thing. So billboarding, and you could set texture to be, or a mesh to be, or a material to be a billboard in Godot, so it'll always face the camera, which is how old style games like Doom and Doom 2 would work, or Wolfenstein.
Yeah.
If you were to circle around a tree, the same part of the tree would turn with you. It was a really weird feeling. That's great for very far in the distance.
But when you go close to it, it just doesn't work.
Right. So we had to sort of sit down and say, well, if we're going to have parks, what are they going to look like? Because most of the stuff we have in our game is very, very low detail.
Yeah.
The craft are high detail, some of them surprisingly high detail, and the textures on them are high detail, but everything else is designed to just be patterns moving fast, quickly, which is kind of what we need. So we're going to have to sit down and design the park from scratch, as opposed to just like make a park and then put it in the game. And then say,
it doesn't work. At those speeds, you lose detail so easily. And also, because you're not looking down on the park from the angle that I was taking screenshots or showing you guys at, we're more along the lines. I won't show you this yet, but I'll just share my screen again. We're more along the lines of racing along at this angle. So we're coming past, and because we're at such a shallow angle, and I've lost my forest, there we go. We're at such a shallow angle, it just disappears, as you can see there. Yeah, we come across, so anything you put in the middle of a park, like a feature or anything along those lines, just won't be seen at all. And
I mean, there's a couple of ways we can go with this. We can go the traditional low poly route, right? Just like a couple of cones. Or we could make this look more like a very large, almost Japanese style minimalist park, like a curved path, or that's more Chinese than Japanese, curved path over a bridge, over a piece of water, and a couple of trees.
Yeah, definitely.
Right, and just make that very, very big. But everything has to be exaggerated, because at that speed, all you'll just see is. We've just got Paco joining us. Hi, Paco. Would you like to show the level again, or?
I will show it. Yes. Bear with me a moment.
I think he might appreciate this.
Yep, I will switch over to Godot now. You should also be able to see.
I can see.
So yeah, just the new level here, and I'm going to put my favourite race ship on, which should be the Archangel. I'm going to do a nice light colour, so I don't get lost. There we go. So Andromeda City is the new level. It's still
this is new Andromeda City. It's not the old Andromeda City, which is just a dump.
3, 2, 1, go!
So it's still a work in progress level. That was great, Mikey. Oh no! Demonstrating pure skill here. I love that tunnel.
It came off nicely, didn't it? Like, I was tempted to try and make a blend today because it's a CSG, but I didn't really have the time. I spent a lot of time today putting set pieces in here. There's still spaces that I don't want to be empty that are empty. Like, I want this part by the Rose Studios to be empty, so you've got this beautiful sweep up by the nebula. I think it's a great moment.
Yeah.
And then all this will be open, but there's some boost pads to make this feel faster. Because the less stuff you have by the track, the slower it feels like you're going. But this feels almost relaxed, right? Because you don't have points of reference. All we have is the dome. Because the dome is very big and far away, it's not moving much. So it's not until you get into these buildings coming up that it feels like we're actually traveling the speed we're going. So it's a mix of having these very fast, intense moments, and then moments where you can breathe and enjoy the scenery.
I had a pickup, didn't I? Oops.
You did.
Just slowing down to pick up a pickup.
Just light the way.
Yep. Well, I realised the other day, even though I knew this, I realised that it clears mines.
Yes, it does, by design. So yeah, Paco, because you missed it earlier, the moment the stream is finished, I'm going to enable the download for this build, so people can just download it. It's already uploaded and ready to go.
Nice.
I just didn't want to put it live while the stream was going, because then people who wanted to play that, they're not, we can't tell.
So I will pause that there so we can get back to us.
Yeah, I feel like I should show some level designs.
Nice. I just need to quit the game my end. There we go. Audio's stopped. Oh, you're sharing stuff? That means I need to click this button.
And I'll put the chat there. So, what I've done this time, I've organized this in little neighborhoods. So I started with Center Spire. That was my big moment. And all I did was make a simple geometric shape. That was going to be the centerpiece of the level. I wanted it to be seen from everywhere. So I made the tower bigger. In the end, I put this little board around it. The board, the little display text, has lights attached to it. So it'll actually glow and feel impressive. As we go around here, we have the start area, which is very, very enclosed. Lots of bright lighting. In fact, let's make this a little easier to see. I'm just going to hide the stuff we don't need to see. So let's hide cameras. Let's hide lights. And we probably don't need to see audio. And we certainly don't need to see particles. Right. Mikey, no sound. According to Jelly, Mikey, no sound. So instead, I'll talk because I'm interesting. So this is the first moment. This is quite built up. We've got a couple of those free figures from Coternius. I made them into giant statues. I changed the material to make them hologrammy. Made some text. Good to go. Come through here, and all of this is just nice, tall buildings with a couple of gaps in between, just so you can feel it going. And what's fun is as you're flying through here, these shadows on your car actually feel like, well, if you've driven at night, which I'm sure most of you have, feel like real shadows. They give you a real sense of space. We've also got this little alleyway here, which exists just to give a sense of shape as you go past. So as you go past these buildings on these turns, you'll see glimpses of some buildings in some space, like you'll just see it here. So from the sides, it looks much better. Then I wanted this moment, right? I want that to be something that you see and you recognize. So we know Delta is coming, or Ares is coming. And then we go through here, and it's suddenly into sodium-lit tunnel.
I am back.
You're back. Excellent.
Yeah.
Here comes your first sweep of space. I want this to be a nice, quick sweep, and a little bit of Rose. Hi, Rose. She's so lovely. And don't fear the creeper. And then we're going immediately back into tight and fast. And this is going to feel much faster because these buildings are whizzing past, and you're going through speed things. And then you come around here, and it's breathe again. So we come around here, and this is going to be boost, wear off, boost. Like, that's the plan. If you're really good, you can hit all of them. I can sometimes do it. And then you got to slow down here because
corners.
If you're doing well, you'll see your own name, which is always nice. And then we're back to Ares, right? So a lot of this level is foreshadowing what's coming. So that there is telling you you're going up here. As you're coming around here, you're seeing where you're going to be going. So a lot of this is seeing what's coming up. and then a nice drop back down, another space run. This is where we're going to put the parks, right here, because this patch of space is much less interesting. Yeah.
That's a good logo.
It's a good logo. There it is again. And then right back down to here. And I put the 2 posters here. I'll probably put some more posters and stuff in. Yeah. So I want to put some more lighting in. I want to put some more decor in, but this gives a feel of the kind of thing we're going for with this level. So it's certainly good to go. So let me remember how to use Discord. Mikey, I can't remember how to use Discord. Here it is.
You're on your own. There we go. Close stream. Then I can bring us back. And yeah, silly me with Discord. I forget that each scene has to have a microphone in it. Otherwise, yeah, no. I can bring us full screen.
He doesn't mean Discord. He means OBS.
I don't know what I mean. Someone does. Help.
So one of the things we want to talk about with the course is level design, right? Because in a game like this, what you remember are those moments, those vignettes. So in Oasis, in the original level, there's a couple of moments that you remember. Like, Mikey, if I say, picture that level, what are you picturing?
Well, there's the tunnel of doom.
No, I mean the first level.
The first level.
Yeah, Oasis.
Yeah, I always remember the tunnel of doom because I was
the beginning. Zip, zip, zip. I thought you meant that. Yeah. Okay.
No, not the actual tunnel. Maddie Strait always brings to mind because that's got the statue at the very end of it. It's a bit of a blur. You get this is one of the reasons we didn't really design this level as such. More as just chuck down the track and then put things around it, rather than building up a level from complete scratch. And you then turn a couple of corners and then there's a crossover. You go looping round and you come back over the top, and then we've got the tunnel, and then you're back to the back straight again. But it doesn't have too many of those memorable moments.
Right. And even then, whenever I think of the level, I think of 1 or 2 areas.
Yes.
Like, I know most of the track by heart. But, and a big part of this is we want each level to have a character. Right, to have a feel, to have a mood, to have a personality. New Andromeda City is a lot of green and teal, and then little bits of warmth. Right, there's some amber lighting, there's a little bit of gold, there's some pink, and that's really the feel of it. And it feels high tech. It feels, well, I mean, you guys come up with your own adjectives. So to do that, we have to double down and go back on Oasis and make that feel much more deserty. Because at the moment, well, the build that you guys have been playing, it feels a bit like you're going for a drive on a sunny day, and that's not really the feel we're going for. So, Mikey, if you show off that first level again.
Yeah. So whilst
just so we can see the difference that a really well-chosen HDRI can use. I mean, the first HDRI we had was great, but this one was actually a desert one, and then matching the light perfectly to match that sun.
Yeah. So one of the things, whilst this is all loading up and everything, we were talking about billboarding before and with the optimization steps. So I want to change this to Oasis. So typically you'd have your high detailed object right at the very front, and then you'd have level of details going back. And then at the very back, when you've got maybe just primitives left over, that's when you would have your billboards as well. Mm-hmm. Now, Godot itself doesn't fully support level of detail models yet. You'd have to code the instancing in yourself.
3, 2, 1, go.
So here what we've done is we've allowed the environment lighting to be controlled almost entirely by the sky. We're not doing that in New Andromeda because most of the sky is black. You end up with no ambient light. The sky is mostly blue with a big swatch of yellow, which means you get a very bleached out light from some angles and a kind of normal, slightly shadowy one from others. And for some reason, it feels much heat hazier. I'd love to get some heat haze in here.
It'd be weird, wouldn't it? But I would like to see that as well.
I mean, it feels like a huge pull on the graphics, but...
Well, we've always got to balance it with people's machines, but ultimately that stuff is at the expense of frame rate. Always will be.
Yep. Also changed this bit. You remember how slow it was to drop before? You're welcome.
Thanks, Yann.
Because I was doing a test on New Andromeda. I got to the top of the spire and was thrown off and had to wait 20 seconds to fall to the ground. Like, nope, that's not happening.
That's a bit too quick.
That was dull.
It's also made the Dragon's Breath not quite so dangerous now.
I mean, yes, it's dangerous, but it's not ridiculous. Like, you shouldn't have to wait 20 seconds to respawn.
No.
Like, it's a racing game. I'm going to get you back in the action. One thing I did do on New Andromeda is I upped the amount of checkpoints, because they're generated at runtime, from 3 to 14. So that if you die or if an NPC dies, they're not going to go all the way around the track. This is a much smaller track. My buddy is so good.
I've got to win. Have you? Well, I'm not winning yet, but I've got to.
Well, you got on the lap, mate.
What a corner! Oh, I played the game on some of the children's computers, so they've got a second generation i5 and a 1050 Ti in them.
Nice use of brake.
Yeah. I'll drive off myself. I don't need any help. Yeah, and it ran. Before it was a slideshow. It wouldn't run it. Wouldn't be worth playing at all. But now
we
it's
did
running.
a lot of work on optimization this week. Like, a lot of work. I mean, Pakosh will know because it was mostly due to his feedback, and some Jellies as well. But it was a conversation we were having internally, because if we were releasing this as a game, then the answer would be, well, you don't meet minimum specifications. But that's no good as an educational thing. Right?
No,
you don't have a powerful enough machine to learn from me is not a great thing to say to anyone. So we wanted to try and make this at least have a chance of running on old machines. The big one was removing anti-aliasing, which I've just removed. I am thinking of putting it back as an option, but if you have an AMD card, anti-aliasing doesn't work the same way, from what I can understand. Basically, it will slow your game right down. Same with an inbuilt Intel GPU, what's it called, integrated.
Yeah. And that's one of the things when you're designing for the PC.
Yeah. And test on a lot of people's machines. Like, one of the big things with giving this out to a bunch of people. Oh, yeah, Mikey, we should be using the controller overlay.
That would take a while to set up.
You didn't set it up as a scene? Michael Bridges.
Hello. Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, good idea. We shall do that. So yeah, that's a big part of it. I do want to talk a little bit about the optimization. And Mikey had a chat about it last week. Get your game tested on a lot of people's machines and listen to them.
Yeah.
Because we tested it on a couple of machines, some of them a little older, and they work great. They were fine. Then we put it out in the public, and I started getting reports from a bunch of people like, this runs at like 3 frames a second, and I have a really good machine. What's going on? And it suddenly occurred to me, AMD cards can't run this game. Why not?
I could say something right now, but...
Big. I mean...
Well, I'm really to segue into graphics cards a little. We're being spoilt at the moment by what's on offer by both Nvidia and AMD. Intel might produce something. Yeah.
Are they sending me things?
Oh no. But yeah, it looks like the AMD cards are going to be competitive once again, both in price and performance, which will be awesome to see. But yeah, you're quite right. Architecture differences between GPUs are something that I would have never even considered. But in a way, I come across it all the time with Blender.
Well, it's also because Godot 3 is using GLES pipelines, right? Which aren't supported that well anymore. And from what I understand, and I might be wrong here,
that's the
AMD cards partially support them. They'll partially use them. But things like anti-aliasing on an AMD
Yeah.
isn't going to work too well with GLES. And I just put it on because it looked better. I mean, that's what it's there for, right? So I put it there. So yeah, test. Now, when God of 4 comes out, we're moving to Vulkan, which changes everything. I have no idea how this runs on God of 4. I haven't looked. I haven't had time.
Well, Doom is one of the most performant games you can get that's also really high detail. So that's a great example of how the Vulkan API is really, really good.
Yeah.
But then again, you don't have access to, I suppose, NVIDIA's GameWorks and things like that if you run through Vulkan. So if you wanted all the fancy hair and all that stuff, I don't know.
I'm making a racing game.
Yeah. Can't we put hair on our MagRacers?
Sure.
Like,
if I can make a wooden one, you can put hair on it.
Like Cousin It going through the game.
I mean, we can put soft bodies, but I don't, because we have enough physics calls happening at any given time.
You know that Jelly's going to make a jelly blob with soft body that would just bounce around. It would be like a pinball game.
Yep.
With a soft, squidgy thing.
I don't know if Vulkan has real-time ray tracing.
That's a good question. I should imagine if not, they're going to integrate it at some point.
Jelly heads in the races. Oh, good. I mean, I'm surprised that no one said bobbleheads yet, because that was the first thing Mikey asked. Can we have? If I make a cockpit, will you make bobbleheads? No.
I'll play.
I'm not doing.
Jelly bouncy ball of death. Yep, pretty much.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's going to be instead of the dragon's breath.
What, bobbleheads? Oh dear. Oh dear. Yeah, that would be fantastic. We're open for weapon ideas. That would be phenomenal. You have a thought? Yeah, no worries. So I don't know whether Vulkan has ray tracing at the moment. It probably will do if it doesn't. I mean, ray tracing's been out now it's been out for years and years as a concept. I mean, Pixar have been using ray tracing for many years.
Well, real-time ray tracing. Ray tracing's been out for decades.
Yeah. So
Kronos Group is working on it.
Awesome. Well, AMD do have their RT things, and NVIDIA have their RTX. So who knows where it will go.
Mm-hmm.
But to be honest, that's probably going to be something you tick a box for. Like at the moment, you tick a box for screen space reflections. You would just opt in to have screen space reflections plus ray traced reflections. I shouldn't imagine there's too much to do other than optimization, making sure there's not too many things in your scene that are going to be reflected to keep the game running quickly. Because we all know it does have a performance impact on games. Whether or not it's worth the visual trade-off will depend on the game you're making.
I'm not sure how much I personally, as a player, care about the impact that real-time ray tracing makes. Like, I saw some people streaming early builds of the new Watch Dogs Legions game and of Cyberpunk 2077, and a couple of them mentioned if you have one of the new RTX cards, you could do real-time ray tracing and see around the corner. I was like, I don't care about that. Could you? Thank you. Less claws is all I need right now. So I have a question. So we've demonstrated a little bit what can happen when you come up with a personality and a theme for a level, right? So we have a feel for Oasis. It's very hot. It feels like a spot of luxury in the middle of the desert, right? We've got New Andromeda City, which is this little bubble of blue with lots of fast things and lots of buildings, quite a lot of geometry in there. What kind of things would you guys make? Hi, Caboodle. Are you typing for me?
We could go for a wider shot on that. Whoop. There we go. And now performing for you live.
No. Thank you so much. Yeah. So, what kind of environments and levels would you guys make?
I'd really like to make a jungle one. Now that would be interesting with that would have to be very well thought out in terms of foliage.
Well, interestingly, the original Wipeout game that I remember, the level I always think of is a jungle level.
Oh, I think my was Wipeout available on the Amiga at some point?
No, it's only ever been on PlayStation.
Ah.
Canyons would be very interesting, Melicon.
Oh,
Yeah, Boodle is the real star of this channel.
It keeps us entertained.
For the love of me, just pick a spot. I give up.
A cave system, an asteroid. I like that.
So yeah, I think it'd be very interesting. What would you do
nice
to make it, to give it enough open spaces as well? Because you don't want it to just. I mean, I guess you could do just a tunnel, but you want memorable sections in there. So, I mean, in theory, you could do a sewer level, not Suez, a sewer level. But you'd want areas that open up. You'd want areas that tighten down. Waterfalls, asteroid.
Oh, you could fly through a waterfall now. That'd be interesting.
I actually want to put water in this level and the last one, but I don't want to put a whole bunch of extra particles in, and I don't have a good-looking water texture. And Mikey was playing with parks. So I was like, you know what? I think just getting to make trees was a mistake. I'll let him do that. Let's not bring up water.
Off you go, Mikey. You can make a tree.
It was a beautiful park.
It was suboptimal, though.
The sewers from Futurama are tempting, but even they're basically large open spaces with a few tunnels, right?
Mm.
Going through tunnels with lots of things going past is actually a really cool thing, especially if you're mean and you make any collision with the outside tunnel an instant explosion. So if you get dragon breathed up, that's you done. But you also want moments that it opens out and people think, oh, I'm at this bit. I'm at the central processing area, wherever.
Yeah.
Huge canals. Those are actually from LA. The LA Reservoir or LA Basin, whatever it's called.
They're the flood defences, aren't they? Essentially.
I think so.
I think so.
I mean, you could also do the Thames Barrier, but that'd be weird.
You could. Be a bit different.
New Tokyo? When you say New Tokyo, I'm thinking Neo Tokyo from Akira.
I'm thinking of San Fran Tokyo. From Big
Is
Hero.
it a border town?
From Big Hero 6.
Big Hero 6 was a good movie.
That'd be awesome. Well, I made a bridge at one point, didn't I? It just didn't fit our game at all. And it was somewhat based upon a suspension bridge. That was very interesting to model, because I used booleans to get rid of all the geometry I didn't want.
Actually, you could do a really good Alpine setting. Like if you got like a wind background sound and you got some snow particles that you probably have to do it with a shader, to be honest, that moved faster when you moved towards you when you were moving, and then didn't when you weren't. And the right light, I think an Alpine would be amazing. I mean, you'd have to really model it.
You could have snow. So you could have parts of the track that are you have to fly through a blizzard or something along those lines as you go up on the mountain. So,
I think Melicon wants us to do winter. I think he's shouting no in excitement.
Oh.
Yeah.
You could just race around a blimp. It can be the oval. The oval version.
Just one circle.
It's a training map.
I
We've
wanted
given
to do
you
it
a
today,
balloon.
but I had to do some housework and watch Barbarians on Netflix because reasons. But I want to get a whole bunch of signs for the Andromeda level, little like neon labels and things. And I want to put shop signs that people are not going to see because they're going to be too fast. But one of them is going to be Mikey's Inch Trumpets.
Inch Trumpets, yeah. I'm never going to live that down, am I?
I mean,
no.
Land speeders. Yep.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
I mean, there's no reason, to be honest, why you couldn't do this with futuristic bikes if you don't mind modeling the driver.
And they don't have to be spaceship-esque. You could make a flying car instead.
I mean, we basically have.
I think ours are more spaceship. I'm thinking more like a flying car, like a DeLorean, that sort of thing. So it still resembles a car, but doesn't have wheels.
Like a VW Bug with balloons.
Yeah. Why not?
There were a couple of reasons. Like Volkswagen suing us.
You've got a top speed of 50k though, because you've got a propeller on the back. Yeah, we're turning this into wacky races if we're not careful.
Yep.
Catch the pigeon. Catch the pigeon.
So what I'm interested in here is there's a lot you can do, right, with just a few tweaks. One of the things I want to show is how much difference. Well, here I'm gonna share my screen.
Yep.
To do that, I need to go over here. Let's move to that. Share my screen. Which one's there? It is. I know what I'm doing.
Boop.
Okay. So there's two key things happening here. One is a directional light, which I've hidden. So let's bring you back. Lights on. There's my directional light. Okay, so directional light doesn't actually matter where it is in the level. All the level is being hit with a light of this color with these properties. In this case, these properties are it's pointing that way. Great, which explains the shadows. So one thing we can do is we can change the color of that thing.
Yep. That makes it feel completely different.
Right. Just that is huge.
Go back out again. I genuinely thought I'd missed this. I thought that building was on fire.
Yep.
The one with the dragon's breath on it.
There's a lot of things you could do here. Right now, at the moment, you need to be very careful with lighting. We are used to the idea that night is teal because of the movies. There's a technique called Nuit Américaine. I don't know what it's called in America. Probably American Night. Where if you want to light a nighttime scene with dialogue, you do it with this teal color, and everyone would just pretend it's moonlight. This is not the color of night, but we've been trained to think of it. In fact, night would be a lot more like that. And we did play with that, but then the craft are too dark when they're not lit, and you want to see the craft too. So we're going with this kind of technique.
And we got to
you
watch...
want to avoid things like this.
Why? It's cyberpunk.
Well, you don't see this color in nature with light. And it turns out, if you do that too much, you're going to make people feel very uneasy. Or possibly, if I remember my lighting theory, migraine-y. Like, this will feel bad. So you'll be very careful about bathing the entire scene in that kind of light. The other thing you can do...
Jelly World.
Yep.
Although there's a difference, sorry to interrupt, but there's a difference between the asset being purple and being lit with white light than being lit with a different colour light. Took my children the other day to martial arts, Korean martial arts, I forgot what it's called now.
Taekwondo.
No, it was a different one. It's called Korean martial arts. But there was a screen there that you could sit behind that was red, so you didn't have the really bright lights of the studio there. But when you walked out again, the whole world went green. It was very, very weird.
Yep. Okay. So, the other thing we can look at is our ambient light. What does it look like when nothing's being hit? And right now, we have quite a light area. There's two factors going on here. We have sky contribution, which is the color of the sky is the light. Most of this is black, so this is what that looks like. Now, on the one hand, this is quite a nice style, but on the other hand, you don't actually see much, and you certainly won't see your craft. It's just black on black.
It's almost comic book, isn't it? Almost like a comic book.
Yeah. You could also just give it a light color. Now, at the moment, I've got a little bit of this coming in with about 77% of this has been contributed by the light. So we've got some darkness and that going in. I don't have to go that way. I could just pick a color. In fact, let's see what that would look like. And that's our ambient light. From there, we can start key lighting. So I've been taking some advice on how to do this from how they light monuments and buildings, right? Which is a lot of very colorful uplight.
Yeah.
And then a few omnidirectional lights, especially around anything that's supposed to be a hologram. You're supposed to be transparent. Why are you transparent?
I don't wanna. We have to be careful of the number of lamps we have, though. Otherwise, we start getting popping. We experienced this in Gotta Getaway. If we have a whole city's worth of lamps, some of them just don't work.
Which is why I've got deliberate dark areas and light areas. Like, I'm going to put more light in this area, and we'll come around here, but then when we go up towards Rose, we're going to go dark and just focus on the sky. This is what I want you to see. This is the moment you're going to remember, right? And Rose is going to animate because she's very animated.
Melicon makes a very good point there. Emissive bits on the craft. We actually made the whole craft emissive earlier just to see what that would be like. But yeah, that was awful. But actually having a few bits of emissive material on the craft itself, yeah, that sounds like a good idea of outlining the craft while still being able to see it in the dark places.
Little red and green lights on the wings. So I want that moment when you open up here. Like, I might put some more buildings here and then have this either low-lying buildings or just open space. Probably low-lying buildings, to be honest. And then just focusing on this experience here, right? This galactic plane. And zooming out here, this is all dark, and then we're going to come back towards some blue lighting and back into a lot of rich color. So there's a lot you can do with just the lighting effect. If we go and look at the other one, we've got the same kind of deal. There, I realize I've gone into lecture mode as opposed to talkie mode. I'm sorry. When it
I do that all the time. It's fine.
Yeah. Okay, so we're looking at because I'm using a world environment node, we can see the actual lighting that we'll have in level. So what was key here is finding the right sun. I mean, if we look up, here's our actual HDRI. Finding the right kind of sun, and then matching the directional light to it. Okay, so I have my directional light more or less where I want it, and then I'll go to my world environment. Just move it around until it matches, which gives you these lovely shadows. And because our ambient light is still quite light, in fact, it's just the sky, isn't it? Because our ambient light is coming from the sky itself, these shadows seem to match it. Also, quick tip, in nature, shadows aren't black.
Nope.
The only time you see pure black is in the lab. In fact, even this is a bit much. But that's because I'm using unshaded. In fact, I wonder. Let's see what that looks like when it's shaded.
Or you can, if you're near a black hole, there will be some black as well.
Yep.
I remember talking about.
Last time you were near a black hole, Mikey?
Well, no, never.
Okay. Some of these are unshaded, some of these aren't. So let's just have a little bit of.
It does make a difference, though. It's one of those things that if the world that you're in has something that's pure black, it doesn't look right. Even if you can't put your finger on what it is.
Yeah, pure white and pure black don't exist. In fact, if you see pure black, because they've done lab experiments with this, it feels really disorienting. You feel like you're falling. So this is just picking the right HDRI, a little fog effect to give it that distance, and matching the lighting to it. And you just get a very real feeling level. There is more I could do here. I would love some ambient sound, although it probably doesn't make sense with our game. But yeah, this is what we're coming up with. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen, if I can remember how. How do you stop sharing your screen?
Boop.
Oh, it's over here.
There we go.
I'm a genius.
Yes. I was just waiting for you to close it so I could see two side by side.
Yep.
Again, never mind. So yeah, there's a lot going on there now. A lot of level design involved.
So yeah, having a second or third directional light would work. You are doing a lot more computation. Not having shadows would help. Generally, I would have a single directional light for an outside source, and then use local lighting for local things. If you're lighting, especially in theater, and you want people to focus on something, you usually use 3-point lighting, right? So you'll have a key light, a front light, and a key light, a fill light, and a backlight.
Yeah.
And you don't want them the same color, and you don't want them the same plane as the audience. So typically, you've got your key light from about 20 degrees, you've got your fill light from about 40 degrees, and your backlight above and behind. The backlight's going to give you that depth. Otherwise, everything's going to feel like if you just use a camera flash, it's just flattened.
Mm-hmm.
So that will typically be like if you're doing a sunlight scene, a complementary color, something like a deep blue or a purple. And then here you'll have like a soft amber, and here a slightly different soft amber. So you've got that depth and that shadow. If you do it in movies, you'll be using amber and teal because every movie is in amber and teal. Every single one. I don't know why. For the past 15 years, every single movie is in amber and teal. I don't care if it's Fight Club. I don't care if it's Doctor Who. Everything's in amber and teal.
I currently look like I'm in amber on this screen. Are you the teal?
I mean, pretty much. Hang on, I can. Yeah.
Oh well, I can also do that. Oh.
Let's be a movie.
Oh, that would be perfect. There we go. Amber and teal.
Together we fight crime.
They come for the goodness and stay for the jokes, obviously.
We should start making some of those.
No. I wouldn't want to rely on that.
So, yeah, that's what we're going so far. We talked about baked lighting.
Yes, earlier on today, especially with the nighttime scene.
Mm.
And then you can have your very dramatic lighting as long as it's nowhere near the track, because obviously you need to. Well, we've got nothing moving, so
Well, we do. A couple of things move.
Well, other than the ship.
No. We have a couple of signs that move with lights with them.
Ah, so they would have to be dynamic.
So I would remove them first, or tell them don't use the baked lighting. For those who don't know, baked lighting is when you tell the level, okay, here are some lights, do some really fancy high-level calculation, which is way too high to be doing at runtime, and then just save that to the texture.
Do some ray tracing, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, definitely new as members of the Mystery Men. So yeah, that's where we are right now. It's very exciting. There's a lot of cool stuff. We've even had some people reach out to us recently and say, hey, do you want to work with sound? We haven't spoken to them yet, no promise, but there's people interested in making the sounds even nicer. So that's, awesome. If nothing else, flattering.
Yeah, that's really cool. We've started reaching out into some Blender communities as well. I don't actually have any Mixer or Substance communities. So there's that as well. The fact that we're offering these extra courses now as part of it, obviously we can reach out into other communities. So if you guys know of any, are part of any, feel free to give us a little shout out. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Basically, spread the word as much as you have been doing, and even more, because we really appreciate it. And dragons. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing what kind of levels, what kind of teams, what kind of ships you guys make, because I think that's going to be really interesting. That was 2.5 days work, that level.
Yeah. It's amazing. Just putting that park together. You think, I just lay down these. And even using an array modifier to put like the fencing down really quickly. You sink a couple of hours into it, no problem at all.
Yep.
Yeah. Asset design or level design can really sink in, and it's ultimately the player's experience. That's what you're designing with that, as Yann's as we've been through. So that does make a big impact on the game. So it's
there's the other side of this as well, which is
that time.
Part of what takes so much time with the level is you only have. We have 10 building types, maybe less.
Yep.
So I'm trying to find new interesting ways to use them. Whereas if we had like one person just making models and one person just making textures and one person just making ships, then I would have a couple of dozen and the level would take much less time to do. But we don't. We can't do that. So we have to,
I thought you were starting a recruitment ad then.
No.
Do you know?
We don't have the the contract drawn up for you to give us your assets for the course. So
awesome.
Yep. So does anyone have any questions, thoughts, comments, interpretive dances, jingles, tigers?
I have a box.
I'm waiting for the video lag to come up. Oh, what was in your blender box?
Oh, my blender box was pretty awesome. I've eaten some of it. The mouse mat was very... No, they came with... I can't remember what you call them. They're like a wafer biscuit with caramel in the middle.
Can we volunteer buildings? That's a good question.
Yeah, if they're willing and able, we'll take all the buildings.
What are the requirements, Mikey?
That's a good question. Not too high poly. That's one of the...
Okay, 2 materials, possibly 3 materials. Size.
We should actually talk about that offline and actually write up a spec sheet for the buildings.
Sure.
That'll probably be the easiest answer to
As
that.
long as you are willing to give them to us to use for courses and demos and the rest of it. Like, they're just going to be taken and given out to people. If you're not willing to release them on that kind of probably a Creative Commons 0 or Creative Commons buy license, probably shouldn't be giving your stuff away. His reasons. But, I mean, I know Melicon, is very supportive and excited. Because I played Ark with him. Speaking of, I got Jessica into Ark. It's the last I heard from her for like 2 days.
That's the problem with that game.
Yeah, that is an addictive game.
We have micro problems with that with MagRacer already. You're like, Mike, can you try out the new build? Mike, you there? Mike? Yeah,
It's not even that. Mike, I think I fixed this bug. We can hand this to students. Can you test it for me? Sure, I'll do that now. 3 hours later. Is it working? Oh, yeah, I was just playing.
Awesome. Thanks, Melicon.
Yeah, really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Um,
So, I don't think there are any other questions at the moment. I'm going to say that now, so Soslaw says we will get some, just as we're signing off. But thank you, everybody, for joining us this evening. It's been...
Thank you for having me. I had a lovely time.
Yes.
Keep spreading the word. Being excited. I will go to itch now.
And press go on, mate.
Yeah, I wasn't calling Jess out. I was just depressed. Oh wait, if I do this now, you'll lose me.
Oh, itch.io.
I'll see if I can do this now, but you might lose.
Oh yeah, we lost you last week, so that's fine. Bye, Yann. For some reason, when he goes onto itch.io, his computer decides to not show us any video. Although you are moving at the moment, so I think you're fine.
I think it should be fine. I'm just getting ready to 16. Alpha 0.2 is now live. I will get you the link.
0.2. Nice.
Yep. Let's see, YouTube link. Here we go. Meow. Meow.
Post that down.
All right.
Boom.
You now have access to the 0.2 and the patch notes and the downloads.
Let us know what you think,
good.
if there are any bugs as well.
There are bugs. I guarantee it. We're still very much in alpha. But yeah, it's coming along nicely.
That's true.
All right, guys. Have fun. Thank you so much for the support. It means worlds to us. And we'll see you soon. Next week, in fact.
Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. Go wave, Yann.
Bye.